Gervonta Davis say you need the money.
Shit.
What's going on with you and Gervonta?
If I'm a boxer, he a boxer, you a boxer, we all need the money.
I ain't doing it for free.
Thank you.
What if Gervonta said, hey, I'll come up to 154. I'll come up to 154 while you talking.
Oh man.
You go to you'll fight Gervonta at 154?
I wish him the best. That's all I'm gonna say.
Bro, when people, what I got from that is he's a hater. You don't know me as a person. Let's say you don't like me. Like, you don't know me. Like, you feel me? And I don't give a him. And everybody in the crew, I mean, with him.
Same question for you. You're a proud father.
There's levels to this boxing game. And Terence "Bud" Crawford just reminded the world exactly what level he's on. In a brand new live interview, Crawford didn't just throw subtle shade at Gervonta "Tank" Davis. He threw the whole damn tree. What was supposed to be a chill sit-down turned into a full-blown call-out, with Crawford pulling back the curtain on Tank's recent performances, his reputation, and even the legitimacy of his last win.
Tank said I was a meat lover. He came in, he was like, oh, this guy, you a meat lover.
But Tank would never even think about hesitating to come up to 154.
All right, what about 47, though?
Yes, if he get to pick his opponent.
Mm.
If Tank get to pick his opponent, he would do it. But Tank would never come from 35 to 54.
Mm. Y'all got into it on social media around that time. Y'all was doing the back and forth shit. Is that just you being competitive, like when that happens, or is it like?
I just really don't like that dude.
You know? Why though?
Cause I just don't like him. Like I really don't like him. I don't like.
Just not your cup of tea. That's just not your.
Yeah, I don't like nothing about him.
Mm.
No, I don't like nothing about him. I just felt like he just one of these little arrogant little dudes that's using what he got to shield him.
Mm.
Like he got a lot of security guards around him, and he know, he in the limelight and stuff like that. But in certain situations, he wouldn't be acting like that.
Do you like him as a fighter though?
Yeah, he's a damn good fighter.
Yeah.
I respect him as a fighter.
Yeah.
He definitely got skills. He got power. He got tremendous boxing ability, but like his core personality and his ways, nah.
Mm.
Y'all, this is way more than just fight talk. This is a statement. Crawford made it crystal clear. He sees the hype, he hears the noise, and he's not buying it. Tank's been dodging serious smoke, and Crawford just lit a fire under the whole lightweight division. If you thought the bad blood between these two was squashed, think again. Let's break this down, because what Crawford said, what he implied, and how he said it. It shook the room.
You said going out on 3 fights. You know the last 2 fights you want to go out on? Yeah, the last fight you want to go out on. Like, who? Do you have anybody in mind? No, I'm saying, no, I don't have no name right now. But I got somebody I want to call out after this fight. You said you got somebody you want to call out after this fight? Yeah. Who is that? I'm not going to tell you.
Is it Lomachenko?
Who?
Somebody asked Lomachenko.
No.
All right.
Turkey said he got your 2 Ferraris ready. What you think about that?
Oh.
Turkey said he got your 2 Ferraris ready.
I need 3 now.
Yeah.
Steven Espinoza said Shakur turned down a 1-fight deal to fight you because he wanted a multi-fight deal. What's your thoughts on that?
He's not worth it. He's not worth it. He's not even worth it. Anyways, got to fight somewhere else and prove himself and then, like, you feel me? You know how they got UFC and, like, the underground shit? You got to fight on the underground shit and then get that.
You got to go to the G League.
You have an idea which...
The first bombshell dropped when the host casually mentioned Tank's previous claim that Crawford needs the money. You could literally see Crawford's face twist like, "What?" Then he hit back with a truth bomb. "We all need the money. I ain't doing it for free." See, this wasn't just about money. Crawford was calling out the hypocrisy, because if we're talking dollars, Tank isn't exactly on Forbes' billionaire list either. Both of them are prize fighters, fighting for legacy and a check. So why was Tank acting like he's above it all? But the shade didn't stop there. When the interviewer asked Crawford how he'd feel about Tank moving up to 154 to fight him, Crawford didn't even blink. He straight up said, "I wish him the best." That wasn't encouragement. That was a funeral speech. Translation? Crawford's not chasing Tank. If Tank wants that smoke, he better level up fast. Because, let's be real, Tank at 154? That's a different beast entirely. And from Crawford's reaction, it's clear he doesn't take that scenario seriously.
Gervonta Davis speaking about you. Is that ever a possible fight?
Yeah, if he want to dare to be great, he can be like all the other fighters that's moving up 2 weight classes and, daring to be great.
You would fight him.
Man, tell him to come up there.
He got to come to win 54.
He said I got a glass chin, so tell him to come and touch it.
Wow, man. Gervonta said you got a glass.
He said I got a glass chin. Tell him to come and touch it.
At 147?
At 147. I'll make 147 for him.
Ooh, see, oh, man.
You're going to have a pre-camp.
Then what the people going to say? Oh, he's beating up on little guys.
I don't know.
The man's undefeated for a reason. He knows his worth. And he's not wasting his prime on fantasy matchups with dudes who barely scraped past Lamont Roach. Now here's where things got spicy. Crawford didn't just criticize Tank's resume, he dissected his last fight in surgical detail. When asked about the Roach fight, Crawford didn't hold back.
Let me ask you this. You can help me out on this. This last fight, Roach and Gervonta. Have you ever seen anything like that?
Man.
I mean, you can't take a knee. That's a knockdown. Because I saw Floyd break his hand hitting the guy and took a knee, and they gave Floyd an 8 count. So I'm trying to figure out how Gervonta avoided that. And then I'm trying to figure out how he got his guy come up to the top of the ring and wipe grease out his eyes. They do that now, bud.
I guess that's part of the new, boxing era.
When you saw that, tell me when you saw this, you saw him take a knee.
He brought up the moment Tank took a knee, something that should have counted as a knockdown, and questioned how that was allowed to slide. On top of that, Crawford called out the bizarre moment where Tank's team came up to the apron mid-fight and wiped grease out of his eyes. That's not just suspicious, that's a whole procedural violation. And Crawford made sure everyone watching knew it. Even more wild, Crawford indirectly called out the referee. He pointed out how Steve Willis started the count, then suddenly stopped, almost like someone backstage told him to. This ain't just boxing talk anymore. This sounds like corruption.
And then you see he go to the apron and this guy come up to the top of the ring. Well, he's like, hold on, what's going on?
I'm just as confused as you. I said, huh? I was just like, oh, that's crazy. And Steve Willis a great referee.
He is.
And he started counting, then stopped
it.
Like they said, hey, you better stop counting. Oh.
Wow.
Hey, don't do that again.
Crawford said it plainly. Without the knockdown, Tank wouldn't have won. He gave the edge to Lamont Roach. And let's be honest, that's not something you expect to hear from a fellow elite fighter. But this just proves how real Crawford is. He's not playing politics. He's not protecting clout. He's giving you the raw truth. According to him, Tank looked overconfident. He didn't take Roach seriously. And that arrogance almost cost him the fight.
Cards. Judge at the ringside. Eric Marlinski scores it on 115 to 113 in favor of Gervonta Davis. Judges Steve Weisfeld and Glenn Feldman both scored about 114 to 114, even a draw. The decision is a majority draw.
Everybody thought Gervonta Davis was going to walk through Lamont Roach like it was just another payday, a highlight reel knockout, and another flashy post-fight flex. But Lamont? He flipped the script. From round one, he came with pressure, precision, and zero fear. The guy who was supposed to be an easy tune-up ended up giving Tank one of the toughest nights of his career. And let's talk about that 9th round. The moment that had everybody on the edge of their seat, when Tank took a knee after a sharp right hand and body combo. That wasn't a slip. That wasn't a stumble. That was a tactical collapse. And it looked like a clear knockdown.
How is this not a knockdown? Tank Davis was just exposed, man. What is going on in the sport of boxing, man? KDB Sports and Entertainment.
I wasn't relying on that. I was relying on what I was doing in there. I think I was taking control. I think I was landing more shots. I think I was landing more power shots. And I thought I was doing my thing. So I'm not really that frustrated about that.
And it wasn't just Terence Crawford calling it out. Boxing heavyweights like Eddie Hearn and Oscar De La Hoya were on social media saying the same thing. That was a knockdown, no debate.
This is my opinion. Sure. It was a great fight. It was a close fight. Depending on what they do with that decision of taking the knee, depending if the commission reverses the decision or I think the draw was meant to be. So I like the draw. No, if you take the knee, man, if you take a knee in the 90s or in 2000, you're taking a point off. That's the bottom line. You're taking a point off. I don't know what happened with the referee. Maybe he was a little starstruck. Maybe he was a little, because he loves Tank. He loves New York. He loves the big lights. The referee with the eyes, he's like, a point should be deducted if you take a knee. It's a fact. It's in the rule book, right? The fact that they didn't take it away, then that's where the controversy is, right? It's not, look, did Gervonta get hit? Was he dazed? Who knows? Only he knows. But what I saw, when you take a knee, that's an automatic point. That's just the rule. This is not basketball. This is not, this is not basketball where, wait, hold on, my ankle hurts. Hold on, let me take a timeout. You don't take timeouts in boxing. It just doesn't happen. Whether he had something in his eye or not, you have to fight. There's 3 minutes to fight. So if you take a knee, if you go to your corner, the rules are the rules. And I don't know what New York is gonna settle on, but the rules are the rules.
That night, I haven't watched the full fight. One thing that's kind of baffling is that it wasn't a knockdown. Look, he wasn't hurt. There's no doubt about that. But if you take a knee in the fight and you touch down, whilst punches are being thrown, it has to be a knockdown. I've heard some people saying, that he should be disqualified.
The ref letting that slide change the energy of the fight, and honestly, it might have saved Tank's undefeated record.
I think the hardest punch I ever faced. No. And I ain't shitting on him or nothing like that. He can punch. But Jonathan Okendo, he's from Puerto Rico. Bro, he got bricks in his hands, bro. I lie to you not. He punch hard. I ain't gonna lie. He a hard hand motherfucker.
Now here's the twist. Tank and Roach knew each other from back in the amateur days. Same DMV region. So there was history there. Maybe Tank thought he had Roach figured out.
And Gervonta Tank Davis just been released to the public. We know now, December 14th, Houston, Texas, he's going to be facing a very tough opponent in Lamont Roach. Can you tell us a little bit about the history between them two?
Oh man, they've been knowing each other from the amateurs, silver gloves, everything. They grew up actually together, you know. Roach and him back and forth battles and whatnot. It's gonna be a pretty interesting fight, you know what I'm saying? Because Roach always he come to fight, and I think it's a great fight. Everybody talking all that stuff about why Roach, because he signed and took the fight, you know what I'm saying? And it's good for the community.
But Crawford made it clear, this ain't the amateurs. And the pros, they hit different. If Tank thinks he can coast on reputation, he's in for a rude awakening.
Tank would never even think about to come up to 154.
All right, what about 47 though?
Yes, if he get to pick his opponent. But Tank would never come from 35 to 54.
Y'all got into it on social media around that time. Is that just you being competitive, like when that happens, or is it like...
I just really don't like that dude.
Why though?
Cause I just don't like him. Like I really don't like him. That's like
just not your cup of tea. That's just not your.
I don't like nothing about him. I just felt like he just one of these little arrogant little dudes that's using what he got to shield him. He got a lot of security guards around him, and he's in the limelight and stuff like that. But in certain situations, he wouldn't be acting like that.
Do you like him as a fighter though?
Yeah, he's a damn good fighter.
Yeah.
But like his core personality and his ways.
Let's talk about one of the most viral moments from the interview, when Crawford questioned why none of the top names in boxing are fighting each other. He dropped names: Teofimo, Lomachenko, Shakur, Tank, Garcia, Haney, a dream lineup of super fights just collecting dust. And he called it what it is, straight up politics.
I think all of them should fight, you know.
I mean, you got Lopez, Teofimo, you got Lomachenko, you got Shakur, you got Tank, you got Garcia. You got 5 guys. That's a nice little.
Devin Haney.
Devin Haney, yeah. You got 6 guys. Don't nobody want to fight nobody?
I don't know. I think they all should, you know, be fighting each other.
Well, so what we got going on?
Politics.
Bro, if Shakur and Haney and Tank, if all of them leave, if they retire with undefeated records, that's some bullshit. That's some straight up, and you know it too, bud. Ain't no way those guys should have undefeated records. If they're out in their prime and they damn near in the same, no, ain't no way.
According to Crawford, if these guys all retire undefeated without fighting each other, it's going to be the biggest stain on this generation of boxing. Because if you're at the top, you should be fighting the top. And he even admitted, I ain't going to be the only one walking around with a loss. That's a grown man response. Someone who cares more about competition than image. So if Tank's ducking fights to protect his zero, Crawford's already ahead of him, both in skill and mindset. It wasn't just about one fight. Crawford made a few subtle digs that hint at a deeper skepticism. When asked about Ryan versus Tank and the rehydration clause, Crawford broke it down perfectly. He said Tank was probably in the right, but the clause definitely affected Ryan's performance.
Ryan Garcia and Tank, they talk about they might fight again, blah, blah, blah. There was a lot made about this rehydration clause. You don't have that. If I'm not mistaken, I don't think you have this in this one. So theoretically, he's supposed to come in at 168. Not in the fight, he might be 180, 185. You cool with that? I had sat down with Oscar, and Oscar said he think the rehydration clause had a lot to do with why Ryan didn't defeat Gervonta. What do you think?
I think two things. I'm gonna say three things. I think Ryan had an injury already previous in training. I think the weight did have an effect on him, because when you see him with Devin, he was two totally different,
Oh, yeah.
you know what I mean, fighters.
But then he hit us with a layered observation. Crawford mentioned how some fighters weigh in at 130 and rehydrate all the way to 165. He didn't say Tank by name, but we know who he was talking about. Crawford's making a point here. Modern boxing has too many loopholes, too many ways to rig the system. And Tank? He might be one of the poster boys for that problem. Beyond Tank, Crawford laid out a bigger issue. The whole division is clogged.
How you feel about that fight? Is it even possible at a catch weight?
No, ain't no catch weight. You come up to 47.
You're not even entertaining a catch weight.
No, I'm not.
He's a champ though too, undefeated.
And what champ? Come on, man, tell me what belt. You know boxing. You forgot Devin Haney is undisputed. Devin Haney got all the belts. He the champ. Nobody else the champ. I'm gonna come up here where the big boys at.
All right,
I'll welcome them.
So many elite fighters, so few real matchups. Everyone's moving strategic. Everyone's playing the long game. But the fans? We're starving. Crawford brought up Saudi Arabia, big purses, and how money could finally get some of these guys in the ring. He's down to travel, down to take risks, down to make history. But will Tank match that energy?
If we was to fight right now on the streets, I'll break your fucking neck. And that's on my kids. And you know it, I know it, and the whole world know it. And I'm not talking about no fighting in the ring. If me and you was to fight outside, I will break your neck.
Because while Bud's out here calling for real fights, Tank's clinging to exhibition hype, social media drama, and barely there wins. The difference is clear. And then he said it. Crawford ended the Tank conversation with something that hit hard. They all know each other. That might sound innocent, but think about it.
Who have Shakur? What have Shakur done? What have he done in the sport? He haven't done nothing. The young one is looking more better than him.
Who that?
The Keyshawn. Keyshawn looking way more better than this. I keep screaming his name. He haven't done nothing. Keyshawn haven't even done nothing.
So what do you say to those who
I
might
keep
be
saying
afraid?
his name for.
So what do you say to those who might be saying that, Tank is afraid of Shakur?
Afraid of what? Afraid of what? Us fighters, if we're afraid of something, it gotta be somebody hitting us and hurting us. Like, he don't have no offense. Everything is defense. Defense only win in basketball and football. That shit win in boxing.
Crawford is pointing out that the top names, Tank, Ryan, Devin, Shakur, they've all been in the same circles since the amateurs. They know how each other fights. They know each other's weaknesses. So why aren't they fighting?
So they know each other so.
Yeah, they all know each other so well. Shakur, Tank, Ryan, Devin, they all know each other,
So is it hard to fight somebody you know?
No, I'm just saying they all know each other. So they know, how to fight each other, how to beat each other and things like that, because they didn't fought each other so many times.
What do you think about the Devin Haney and the Ryan Garcia fight?
Because maybe they know too much. Maybe Tank knows who's got his number. And maybe that's why he's playing it safe. But Crawford? He's ready for anyone. Anytime. Anywhere. This interview wasn't just a jab at Gervonta Davis. It was a wake-up call for the whole sport. Crawford reminded us what real champions sound like. He's not ducking. He's not dodging. He's not dressing up wins with PR. He wants the best. He wants the toughest. And he wants it now.
Going up those weight classes to face him, how can you convince fans that he can beat Canelo?
I ain't trying to convince y'all to say he can beat Canelo. He's a good fighter. But, bro, I would say smaller fighters are always better than bigger fighters because they're smarter, they know how to move and things like that. But this guy is great at what he do. He got. And another thing, bro. I don't be wanting to. How these guys is. Then he get hurt against
Magimov?
Who?
There you talking about
Gamboa.
Crawford got touched by Magimov? Is that what you
No,
said?
he got clipped by
Gamboa?
Gamboa, right?
Gamboa, yeah.
Right? The fuck is he's looking this strong over the past year. I mean, these years. He ain't been getting clipped or nothing. So now, that's that snack shit. I'm telling you. Y'all laugh. I'm always.
No detail. Open up.
Just. And that guy that a part of it, he been caught. Before. He went to jail for it.
You're talking about Victor Conti?
He went to jail, right?
Victor Conti?
Yeah. And he the owner of the snack shop, right? And he went to jail for it. Now it's like, you see Earl, I don't want to throw him out of the bus, but you see Earl said some things like that, like about the people using steroids, but he don't want to say no names, but come on, bro.
Tank, if you're listening, the pressure's on. The world's watching. And Crawford, just put your name in bold red letters. You've been called out. If you're tired of the fluff fights, if you want Tank to finally step into the ring with a real one like Crawford, smash that like button right now. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Who wins if these two clash? Crawford or Tank? And if you're new here, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because we're breaking down every jab, every scandal, and every headline in this wild world of boxing. I'll catch you in the next one.